No. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
You have to figure out some math problems for the next level.
Okay, folks, here we go. What do I want you to understand?
The steps of completing squares.
Complete the square. Complete the square is used for the following things. You do not have to write this down. We're just going to talk about it. Completing the square is used for the following things. Finding the vertex. Factoring completely. Defining the x-intercept. What's an x-intercept? The point on the graph where it crosses the x-axis. If it's crossing the x-axis, what does that imply about y? Y is 0. Do we all understand that? Yes or no? Do we all get that? Okay, moving on. When can we use this method? You can only use this method whenever you have an exponent of degree 2. Do we all understand that? You can only use this method when you have an exponent of degree 2. Okay? Now, possible solutions that you're going to have are rational and irrational numbers. A rational number is any number that you write as a fraction. Meaning 2/3, which is 0.6 repeating. Meaning 1/2, which is going to be 0.5. Meaning it terminates. Do we understand that? Irrational numbers are going to be all those numbers that never end, such as pi, and such as the square root of 2. Any questions over what I just said? Steps to complete the stairs. Steps to complete the stairs. To complete the square. That's funny. Do not write on this. Keep it. Would you stop being annoying?
I don't know. Make that noise.
You.
Well, yeah, me, but
Well, put the book down and don't touch it again. Thank you. Do not write on this unless you're just writing those notes that are up there, okay? And what I'm about to highlight, okay? I want this out in your head. I want this out right in front of you, beside your head, beside the paper, and I want you to be reading it step by step so you know exactly what you're doing. Do you all understand what I'm saying? Okay, so step number 1. Take the constant term over to the other side. The constant term is known as what, folks? Number without a variable.
Right on that paper.
I just said except for what I highlight up there. Don't sass me.
Oh, well, I was like watching everybody.
Next, step 2, the leading coefficient must be 1. How do I make the leading coefficient 1? Here's the key word, folks. By factoring. When I say factor, that means we are leaving the number there. It doesn't disappear and go away. When you say divide, you're telling me that that number goes away permanently. Do we all understand what I just said? Factoring means you are dividing each term, but you're keeping that number forever. Dividing means you're dividing it and it goes away forever. Do we understand the difference? Okay, what's a leading coefficient? The number in front of the x squared term. Number in front of the x squared term. Do we understand that, yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay? For example, 3x squared. 3 would be your leading coefficient. Do we understand now? Yes, that's it. Step 3. Take the coefficient of the x term and divide it by 2. Well, we've done this already. An example of this is going to be x squared plus 14x plus what? Well, how did we fill in that blank? We took 14 and divided it by 2, which gave you 7. And then what did we do with that number? Well, look at what step 4 says to do. Step 4 says to square that number to give you 49, and that's what you put in the blank. And then what does step 5 say to do? It says to rewrite this junk into 2 binomials. So that's going to give you the x plus the 7 times the x plus the 7, which gives you the x plus the 7 quantity squared. Do we understand that? The 7 came from taking your b and dividing it by 2. The 49 came from squaring your 7. And then the 49 disappears, that whole trinomial disappears and becomes a binomial squared. Do we understand that? That's it. It is. It's not hard. It's not easy. It's not lying. Sasa?
We just factor that to get that x plus 7.
Yes.
That's all we're doing. This is x plus 7 squared.
A little bit more.
No,
She says a little
That
bit.
was fun.
A lot more.
So, we're going to dive in and just begin. Ready?
They're in the
We're gonna
back.
dive into, no, don't write it on the back of it because I don't want you to flip them back and forth. Write it on your paper.
I was scared.
Happy Gilmore.
The thing you forward to you.
Logan, paper and pencil now.
I don't have anything to write.
Find something. Find something. Beg, please, borrow, steal.
Hey, there's a pencil up here.
You are a very blessed young man to have two young ladies helping you out in a time of
You
need.
have to say what?
You should be kind later on.
Always.
Okay, step one, what do I do? I need to take my constant over to the other side. What's my constant? 1. So that's x squared minus 8x is equal to 1. Step 2, what does it say? Well, what is my leading coefficient? My leading coefficient is the number attached to the x squared term, which is understood to be a 1. So do I need to worry about step 2?
No.
Step 3. You're going to see me write sidebar a lot today, and the reason why is because this is where your brain has to do mental calculations. So I'm going to take the 8 and divide it by 2. What is 8 divided by 2? 4. I want you to box this in, because that's the number that you're going to use in step 5 to write it as a binomial. I repeat, that's the number you're going to use in step 5 to write it as a binomial. You all good? Okay, now what do I do with that? Step 4. Square this number, so 4 squared gives me 16. And what do I do with that number? Add it to both sides. Why in the world do I have to add this thing to both sides? Because this thing is an equation. What does that equal sign do? It balances the equation, meaning if I'm going to tack on 16 units on the left-hand side, I'm going to look like this, right? So to balance it out, I have to add 16 units on the right-hand side. Do we get that? Okay? That's what makes it equal. Okay, well, what's step 5? I need to take these 3 terms, and I need to write that as a binomial squared. Well, what did I just talk about a little bit ago? We boxed in a number. We boxed in the 4, correct? We boxed in the 4. I said we're going to use that, and we're going to say x minus 4 times x minus 4 is equal to 17. Well, why do I have x minus 4 times x minus 4? Because if I factor this, that's what I get. And it's going to give me the x minus the 4 quantity squared is equal to 17. Do I want you to do this step? No. I want your brain to skip that step. I added that step in there for people who are looking at me like, how's she going to go from there to there? Okay, that's how I went from there. X squared minus 8x plus 16 is factored into x minus 4 times x minus 4, which means I have 2 of them, and I can write it as x minus 4 quantity squared. Yay, nays? Okay. Now, the beautiful thing about it is I'm going to now subtract that 17 and bring it on the same side as the jump. And then I'm going to replace the 0 with a y. Doesn't that look all too familiar?
It's like learning how to try to walk again.
How many of you remember this? Yeah. Yes. What did the A do? Remember I referred to it as a coffee mug, and then a travel mug, and then a cereal bowl. It was the stretch and compress. See, I told you it was a silly scenario, but you all remembered it, didn't you? Okay? But you don't remember half the things I say because you're in La La Land the other 3/4 of the time, which that doesn't even add up to 1, just so you know how lost you are with each other. Now, what does the A do? This is your stretch or compress. Oh, I would. What does the H and the K do? It is the vertex. Very good. So that is my vertex. That is my vertex. Now what do I want you to notice here? Look at your equation up there. What is happening to this thing? Up, down, left, right, stretch, compress, top. Nope.
Stretching.
You're right.
It's going to the right 4 units, going down 17 to give me a vertex of what? Right means positive 4. Down means negative 17. Do we see that? Okay, now, no stressing. No stressing. That's our vertex. Now let's find our x-intercept, shall we? My God, George.
I hope you supply the paper for the homework.
Honey, you're a natural resource. Just plant a new tree at the end of the year.
I don't quit.
I know. That's why I said we're using the trees. So just plant a new one at the end of the year.
How about we just bring you a tree?
Okay, now I need to find my x-intercept. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to my equation, and I'm going to set it equal to 0 again. Why am I setting it equal to 0 again? Because we're going back to what we learned on Monday. How do we solve this thing whenever we were pretending that that's just an x to the first? What do? We take that 17 back over, right? So that's x minus 4 squared is equal to 17. Now what do I get rid of? I gotta get rid of that power. So how do I get rid of power? I take the root. So this is going to be the square root of both sides, and that's going to give me x minus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 17. What type of a number is 17? This is from yesterday's. It's a prime number, and a prime number is only divisible by 1 in itself, so therefore does it have any perfect square factors? No. So I keep going, and I say, now what do? I'm solving for x, so what do? I'm going to add 4, so 4 plus or minus the square root of 17. These are my x-intercepts, but how do I write them? Just call me Mrs. Peter. 4 plus the square root of 17, comma 0, and 4 minus the square root of 17, comma 0. What? Why is it that? What's the plus and minus mean, folks?
It can go either way.
It means I don't have just one, but I have 2 outcomes. So I have the plus outcome, which is going to be 4 plus the square root of 17, comma 0. Why is it comma 0?
It's the x-intercept.
Because it's an x-intercept, which means if it's an x-intercept, I have an ordered pair x comma y, correct?
Alright, when will we use this?
At the grocery store, in between the vegetables and fruit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm
When
gonna
I
tell
see
your
my
dad.
mom, I'll get her stop between that and box. And
And ask them to find the x-intercepts used by completely square. I'm sure they all be good.
No, I have my mom help on math homework one night, and she looked at me and she was like, I graduated like 15 years ago.
My dad says the same thing.
Okay, I'm just saying.
That was the end of
Throw
that problem.
that out at the grocery store to somebody in between the vegetables and the fruit. I will give you extra credit to hear what the response is.
Really?
Okay.
Really? I'll be the one videotaping. I'll probably get beat up.
It has to be recorded so I can actually hear it. No, and it has to be on the video. I mean, it has to be in I can't.
In between the fruit and vegetables?
I mean, it has to be in the produce section. That's just what I'm saying.
Really? Are you being dead serious?
I'm serious with a heart attack. If somebody
Okay,
goes
what are
up
we
to somebody
supposed
and
to
asks
I
that
catch
question,
it pretty
What are we
quick.
supposed to ask? Alright, what's the question?
could you please tell me how you're deciding between which fruits you're getting based upon completing the square and finding the vertex and the x-intercept?
Dude, we need to
If
do
I can look at
that.
you, please go away.
I'll probably do that. Go to John Eagle or something?
Let's not break the whole entire rule of three answers. Not talking.
Yeah. Gotta cover it.
Stop it.
We gotta cover it.
Oh, yeah.
What?
It's like, wait,
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Hey,
Okay, here we go.
Do we get double credit if we roll in on scooters?
Okay, here we go. Let's do it all over again.
Oh,
And one.
Second time. Wow, I already have to get
Right,
Take 6 to the other side. So I have x squared plus 4x is equal to 6. Step 2. Cleaning coefficient must be 1. Is it 1, folks?
Damn.
Yes, it is 1. So now what do I do? Sidebar. So I have 4 divided by 2. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. 2, box it in. Why are we going to use that? Why are we boxing it in?
Because we have to use it later.
That's the number that goes in step 5 with our binomials, right? Okay? Now what do I do with that 2?
Square it.
Square it, and then what do I do with that 4? What do I do with that 4? Add that to both sides. So x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 6 plus 4.
2 plus 4.
Can we use it then?
You can, but I'd really rather use the other
Good
thing.
one.
Okay, now, those 3 terms are going to turn into what? Tell me what the binomials are.
2 from
X plus
X plus 2 squared.
X plus 2 squared is equal to 10. I need it in vertex form.
Oh.
I gotta put the 10 over the other side. And now instead of making it equal to 0, I'm gonna just say y, correct? Because that tells me the function then. I know, so
What?
Why are you making minus 10?
Yeah.
why did I make it minus 10? Because I want it to be in vertex form. Vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k.
Yeah.
See,
Makes me want to like.
right there? That's what I need to do. Okay, so now tell me, up, down, left, right, what's going on?
Down 10.
Right.
Left 2.
Left 2,
Down 10.
down 10, so what's my vertex?
2 negative 10. Sorry, 2 negative 2 10. 2.
Oh my gosh.
He's really
2
trying.
negative 10.
Left,
Negative 2, 10.
negative 2, down,
Negative 2 10.
negative 10.
Negative. Down 10.
10.
I wrote that. I said negative 10.
Okay, so now I have my vertex. I need to find my x-intercepts. How do I find my x-intercepts? I need it to be equal to what number?
0.
I need to set that back equal to 0. So x plus 2 quantity squared minus 10 is equal to 0.
Please.
Add the 10. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 10. What's the question I asked to see if that thing is reduced? The square root of 10. Is it reduced?
No, 5 2.
Are those prime numbers or are they perfect squares?
Alright.
They're primes and therefore they're not perfect squares, are they? Okay, so that is as reduced as I can get the square root of 10. So now what? I subtract 2 from both sides. So there's my x-intercepts, but is that the form that I like them?
No.
No, Yoder's very needy. Parenthesis, I have my positive case, negative 2 plus the square root of 10, comma, 0. And then I have what?
Minus.
Comma, 0. Do we see that, yes or no? That was some fun
It
stuff.
only took half of the grade.
I feel quite accomplished.
Okay, well, are we ready?
No.
I thought it was 3.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, only you are.
Did you want to be here for the next week?
Yeah. Where are you going to be anyway?
Joyride.
Are you serious?
She's going right.
You go to Canada?
It's right across.
Canada, eh? I
Hey,
heard the zero though was good.
solve by completing the square. 3x squared minus 12x plus 6. Step 1. Constant term over the other side. So I have 3x squared minus 12x is equal to negative 6. Step 2. Huh. Check it out. It ain't 1. Factor. What did I ask you not to say earlier?
Factor.
Bye.
I asked you not to say divide. Because whenever you say divide, what happens? It goes away forever. Whenever you say factor, guys, it stays, but what operation are you doing in your head? Division. So we are going to factor out a 3 out of each term. So 3x squared divided by 3 is? 12x divided by 3 is? 4x is equal to negative 6. Step 3. So I come over here to my sidebar, and I'm going to say 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. Box it in. Why am I boxing it in? That goes where later? Your binomial. Now what do I do with that 2? Square it, and that's going to give you 4. Now, where does that 4 go? Where does it go? Inside the parentheses. Okay, so I have 3 times x squared minus 4x plus 4 is equal to negative 6 plus. Huh, I'm confused. Do I only add 4? Because where is that 4 at on the left-hand side? You said to add it in the parentheses. Well, what's attached to the parentheses? The 3. By what operation?
Multiplication.
So what did I actually add to the left-hand side? Well, how did I get, well, because I cannot forget that that 3 is attached to that parenthesis by multiplication, which means I put the 4 inside the parenthesis, which means I'm not just adding 4 to both sides, but 3 times 4. Do we understand that? In order to keep it balanced, you have to add what you added on both sides. Well, I put the 4 inside the parentheses. What's attached to the parentheses is 3 by multiplication, so 3 times 4 is 12. Now, what do these 3 terms turn into?
Binomials.
What is the binomials?
X minus 2. X minus 2.
Which is x minus 2 quantity squared. And this is going to be negative 6 plus 12. And what's negative 6 plus 12?
6.
6. So I have 3 times x minus 2 squared is equal to 6. Am I done? No, I need to bring it back over so I can write it in vertex form. 3 times x minus 2 squared minus 6 is equal to y. Box it in, and now what do I want to know? Up, down, left, right, stretch, compress,
Vertex. Down 6, right 2.
Down 6, right 2, what's the 3 doing? Stretch of 3, what's my vertex?
2.
Very good.
2 names.
So I have my vertex of 2, negative 6. Now what? I need to find my x-intercept. So how in the world do I do that? I make this thing equal to 0. Then what?
You add 6.
Uh-huh. You divide both sides by 3 because we're doing the order of operations backwards, which means you have to go into the multiplication division first. So x minus 2 quantity squared is equal to 2. Now what? I take the square root of both sides, and I have x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 2. And now? I'm going to add 2. Those are my answers, but what do I want?
2, something 0.
2 plus the square root of 2 comma 0.
2
minus the square root of 0.
Very good.
You scroll up. 11 more.
Mark?
Last time I did something this hard was working out.
Mark?
No, I didn't. I thought it was Oh, okay. That's a lot of work for one problem.
You take the middle time every time.
What's the second parenthesis on your?
You take the sign of the beat. Every time. Every time. Okay. Not quite done yet. Huh? You need me to scroll down?
That was a regular man.
Nice try.
Nice on,
Well,
Nice serve. Are you seriously
do.
sorry?
Oh, you're.
Oh my God, I'm not there.
What?
What's their last period? Named all the kids.
You're all
Their
lazy.
clones wasn't.
It's very awkward for him to say that here. Okay, are we ready? Now, they want you to find the value of k that makes this a binomial quantity squared. In other words, in order for that to happen, you have to have exactly the same set of parentheses written to your left. Now, with that said, that means your A must be a perfect square and your C must be a perfect square. This is understood to be a 1. Is 1 a perfect square?
Yes.
Is 100 a perfect square?
Yes.
Yes, so factoring. X and X, 10 and 10. I need to have a positive but a negative K, so minus minus. What's inner give you?
Maybe 10x.
What's outer give you?
Nice.
To give you negative 20x. Funny story though, it's already negative up there, so what's K?
Ooh,
Wasn't that easy?
kind of. How do I do that?
One more time, let's do it again. 49x squared plus kx plus 64. I don't know what that number is. Okay, is 49 a perfect square?
Yes.
64 a perfect square?
Yes.
So what numbers are you going to use?
7 and 8.
7x plus 8, 7x plus 8. Inner gives me 56. Outer gives me 56. So what's that total? 112. So what's K? Shabam. Let me give you your.
Oh, it's okay.
Let's not.
No, I'm a very caring, giving
No,
person.
it's okay.
I love to give you.
Mrs. Schroeder, how about we give you our...
Wouldn't it be plus or
For
minus?
me, sharing is always.
Hey, I can give you.
No, it's only positive.
Mrs. Schroeder, it's okay to give you my homework, but I'll just give it right back. That's how much I care.
Is this a gift you can re-gift?
I wouldn't read
They
it.
should have a
Oh,
parent-teacher switch day.
yeah.
Or I mean, a student-teacher
I would
switch
say
day.
please don't.
No.
So,
What do you mean it's...
I teach some people, and you go work on the farm.
We can teach... Oh.
Well, I did that back in the day. I had to
So, your
pay,
dad even owned the farm?
bag oats, take care of the cows, yeah. So,
So you go to the
Or,
farm.
no, I've done that before too.
it's
Mrs.
not.
Schroeder, I just really...
I don't want to be a farmer. Okay, now, are we listening? We're out of here in 2 minutes. Shall we get you started on one of the problems?
Because I don't want to stop in the middle of the problem.
Let's do number 5 together, shall we?
You shall.
Sure.
First you add 3.
Add 3 to both sides. Very good.
Boom.
No dividing.
But it's a 4x, not a 1.
Factor out a 4. So if I factor out a 4, I'm left with x squared. And what's 10x divided by 4? Reduce it. Reduce it. 5 over 2x. Next. Sidebar. I'm going to take 5 over 2 and divide it by 2. When you divide a fraction by a number, what are you actually doing? Multiplying by its reciprocal, so I'm going to have 5 over 2 times 1/2. So marry the top, marry the bottom. What's that give you?
5.
5/4. Box it in. That's what you're going to use in your binomials. Now what do I do with 5/4? I square it. So I'm squaring the top and the bottom. So what's 5 squared? What's 4 squared? So I'm going to take that number and I'm going to do what? Add to both sides, but it goes inside the parentheses. So make sure you're adding 4 times that.
Yeah, it is. I have class now. That's close to that paper class. This is gonna maybe hopefully